Am I throwing rockets? These are missiles, yeah? These are fucking missiles. I'm 100%. This is, yeah? We're going in here 100%. I'm going into this fight 100% Conor McGregor. Not 92. 100% Conor McGregor. So it has to be really meticulous. We were right there with the last one. As a unit we do it, right?
And he wanted on the White House. Now, for Conor McGregor to be on the White House, Conor McGregor wants $100 million and he wants 100 golden visas. So Conor's essentially saying, you need me on the White House and you're going to pay to get me on the White House. To do something that 745 people would do for free. He's essentially asking for $200 million.
Conor McGregor is training harder than he has in years, and the reason why will blow your mind. We're talking about a fight at the White House. Not some random venue, the actual White House. And after months of speculation, insider sources, and conflicting reports, the truth about who he's really preparing to face is finally coming to light. McGregor himself is claiming he's built the strongest foundations of his entire career, that he's performing better than ever, and that he's bringing the true version of himself back to the octagon. Not some watered-down shadow of his former self. But here's what nobody's telling you about this whole situation.
This is Conor. Brother, Conor is too old, bro. He's finished. Salam alaikum.
Dana White has been working directly with the White House for months, orchestrating every single detail of what he's calling a once-in-a-lifetime event. Think about that for a second. The UFC president, who's seen it all, who's put on fights in every major venue across the globe, is saying this is unlike anything they've ever attempted. His team has created detailed visual layouts of the entire White House property, mapping out everything from seating arrangements to how natural lighting will affect the atmosphere. They're not just throwing together some promotional stunt. This is a meticulously planned historic event that could redefine combat sports forever. But here's where it gets absolutely wild.
We've heard the new talk is that Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal could be a potential.
Oh, no,
What's your thoughts?
While everyone's been assuming this White House fight is a done deal, Dana White just dropped a bombshell that changes everything. When asked about the rumored McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal matchup that's been dominating social media, Dana flat out said he's completely unaware of any genuine speculation about that fight happening. Let me repeat that. The UFC president, the guy who would literally have to approve and organize this fight, claims he doesn't know anything about it. So either Dana's playing some next-level mind games with the media, or there's a massive disconnect between what fans think is happening and what's actually being planned behind the scenes. And trust me, it gets even crazier from here.
Biggest thing on social media now, everyone's talking, that Chandler's out and Masvidal's in, and it's Conor and Masvidal.
You know what's funny? So in my algorithm on Instagram, I have nothing MMA.
Right?
Literally nothing MMA pops up.
All mine politics. That's my.
Yeah, mine's definitely. There's some politics, but yeah, I don't listen to any of the goofy.
No.
Because while Dana's downplaying the Masvidal rumors, Jorge himself is dropping major hints that something huge is about to be announced. When directly asked about fighting McGregor, Masvidal didn't deny it. Instead, he teased that enormous news is approaching, something that could send shockwaves through the entire fighting world. His tone wasn't casual speculation. This was a man who clearly knows something the rest of us don't. Masvidal even went as far as dismissing McGregor's legendary knockout power, claiming he's on a completely different level defensively. He painted their potential clash as a pure striking battle, confidently stating that McGregor's trademark power punches would fail to connect against someone with his fight IQ and defensive skills. But here's the kicker that nobody saw coming.
That's goofy shit. Yeah, the MMA world, I don't listen to any of that. So literally none of that.
Chael Sonnen, who's never been shy about dropping inside information, just revealed that the original plan had McGregor facing Justin Gaethje, not Masvidal. And Sonnen wasn't speculating. He emphasized with absolute certainty that he had concrete information about this matchup. But there's a massive problem. According to Sonnen, McGregor has zero interest in cutting down to 155 pounds for the lightweight division. It's not just about the physical demands of the weight cut. It's about McGregor's entire brand and persona. The former champion simply won't compromise his body or his image for that division anymore. Sonnen made it crystal clear that any bout at 155 pounds is completely off the table from McGregor's perspective. Yet the UFC keeps pushing the concept, leaving fans who were practically guaranteed this fight showing remarkable patience while the organization figures out their next move.
Hey, my team, they put together, we come up with a whole plan for production, how it's going to work. My head of production, Craig Borsari, has been working with the White House, for a couple months now, and they build this video rendering of like every tree that's on the property and all this stuff. It's exactly the way it is. We can literally the sun, how the sun will hit the seats at certain times, what it'll look like when it's dark. Crazy. This is going to be so badass.
Yeah,
it is. And it's a one of one in our lifetime to be able to do.
But wait, there's another wrinkle in this whole saga that makes everything even more complicated. Michael Chandler isn't letting Dana White's comments or anyone else's remarks destroy his hopes of finally getting that McGregor fight he's been chasing for years. To Chandler, a showdown with McGregor is the most logical next step for both their careers, and he's made it clear he's ready for any challenge, even if it means headlining this presidential-level spectacle at the White House. Chandler sees this as his chance to prove himself against one of the biggest names in the sport and make an undeniable statement about where he belongs in the lightweight hierarchy. Meanwhile, there's Arman Tsarukyan throwing his hat in the ring with an incredibly bold ultimatum. He's demanding either a title shot or McGregor, nothing else. Tsarukyan even dubbed himself McGregor's nightmare, boldly claiming the UFC would never risk putting their biggest star against someone as dangerous as him.
Look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had. And then you remember, Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump.
Here's what's really happening behind all this chaos, and it explains everything. Follow the money and the politics, and suddenly all these conflicting reports make perfect sense. McGregor isn't just looking for another payday. He's positioning himself for a legacy-defining moment at one of the most prestigious venues in the world. The White House setting isn't just about spectacle. It's about cementing his status as a global icon who transcends sports. That's why he's training harder than he has in years, claiming he's performing better than ever. He knows this isn't just another fight. This is his chance to create a moment that will be remembered forever, regardless of who ends up across the octagon from him. And honestly, the uncertainty about his opponent might be completely intentional.
At Donald Trump's rallies. So definitely
Graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a sensational matchup. Michael Chandler, of course, losing to Paddy Pimblett the way that he did. And then, of course, when you look at the majority of fights that he's lost, okay, it doesn't really put him in too good of a standing.
Think about it. McGregor built his entire career on unpredictability and shocking moments. What if all these conflicting reports about Masvidal, Gietz, Chandler, and Tsarukyan aren't confusion at all? What if they're part of a masterful promotion strategy designed to keep everyone guessing until the last possible moment? Dana White's denial of the Masvidal fight could be misdirection. Sonnen's inside information about Gietz could be outdated. Chandler's persistence could be paying off behind the scenes. Or maybe there's a completely different opponent nobody's even considering yet. The only thing we know for certain is that McGregor is preparing for something massive, and when it's finally announced, it's going to change everything.
The yes men, if you get rid of all the distractions and you get in the gym, it's not unthinkable to think that Conor McGregor could get just some.
So here's where we stand. McGregor's training like his legacy depends on it. The White House is confirmed as the venue for this historic event, and multiple top contenders are positioning themselves as potential opponents. Whether it's the striking battle with Masvidal, the explosive clash with Gietz, the long-awaited showdown with Chandler, or the dangerous matchup with Tsarukyan, one thing's guaranteed. This fight will be unlike anything we've ever seen in combat sports. The question isn't whether this White House event will happen. The question is who will step into that octagon with the most famous fighter in MMA history for what could be the most watched fight of all time. Drop your predictions in the comments below. Who do you think McGregor is really training for? Which opponent would create the most explosive matchup at the White House? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe for more inside MMA news, and hit the notification bell because when this opponent is finally announced, you're going to want to be the first to know. I'll see you in the next one.
Eddie Alvarez, the one-punch knockout over Jose Aldo, right? The rise through the UFC. It was like nothing the sport had ever seen before. And then, of course, combined with the brashness and the trash talk and all the rest of it, and the swagger and the confidence that he had, and the humor and the one-liners, you put it all together, the man became the biggest star that the sport's ever seen. 4 years away, I think it is, or 5 years, whatever it is, it's been a long time, and he broke his leg, but he's back training, he's back in the gym. And I tell you what, right, me and McGregor, we've gone head to head, we've talked a bit of shit over the years, but you can't deny the talent the man had. And if he locks in and he's disciplined, you can get almost back to that. If not...
But hold up, because there's something absolutely massive that nobody's talking about, and it completely changes the game. While everyone's been focused on these potential opponents, they're missing the biggest story of all. The logistics of actually putting on a fight at the White House are so incredibly complex that it's revealing details about McGregor's preparation that will shock you. We're not just talking about setting up an octagon on the White House lawn. We're talking about Secret Service coordination, international security protocols, and presidential approval for what would essentially be the most secure sporting event in human history.
As big as they come, because we've seen on the internet, you versus McGregor. Dana White stated that he's no longer interested in McGregor versus Chandler. So then all of a sudden this report comes out, and I'm wondering, does it have legs? Does it have traction? Is it a possibility?
Give them what they want, not what they expect. I can say some big news. I have some fight news coming soon, and it's very big news. And I can't deny or confirm what you just said, you know?
Yeah.
You just gotta let the chips fall where they may, but definitely some big news headed towards.
Sources close to the situation are saying that McGregor's training camp isn't just focused on fighting techniques anymore. He's actually working with diplomatic consultants and protocol specialists to understand the gravity of performing at this venue. Think about what that means. The man who built his career on trash talk and psychological warfare is now learning how to conduct himself at the seat of American political power. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. This isn't taming McGregor or watering down his persona. It's actually making him more dangerous than ever before.
Share inside information with you, but the plan, right? Everything's a little loose, but the plan, the operating plan was that Conor McGregor at the White House would fight Justin Gaethje. So it was also a belief. One thing Conor does not want to do, and again, this is not speculation. I'm protecting my source, but telling you, giving you some real information here, accurate. One thing Conor does not want to do is go down to 155 pounds. And he doesn't want to do it for a number of reasons, and none of which bigger than just going, why? What for? Like, that's not what this is about. It doesn't matter what this weight class is. Okay.
Because when you combine McGregor's natural showmanship with the gravitas of the White House setting, you create something that transcends sports entirely. His training partners are reporting that he's not just physically sharper, but mentally more focused than they've seen him in years. The weight of this historic moment is pushing him to levels of preparation that even his most legendary camps never reached. We're talking about a fighter who's already conquered 2 divisions, broke pay-per-view records, and became a global superstar, now operating with the motivation of creating a moment that will be studied by historians decades from now. And here's where the opponent mystery becomes even more intriguing. Multiple sources are confirming that the UFC has actually been in talks with all 4 potential opponents simultaneously. They're not just considering backup plans. They're actively negotiating with Masvidal, Gaethje, Chandler, and Sarakian at the same time, keeping every option open until the final moment. This isn't indecision. This is strategic genius. By keeping all these fighters in play, they're ensuring that whoever gets selected will be at peak motivation and preparation, knowing they beat out 3 other elite contenders for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There's another layer to this whole situation that's absolutely mind-blowing. The White House event isn't just about one fight. Industry insiders are whispering about a potential multi-fight card that could feature several high-profile matchups, with McGregor serving as the main event that caps off an entire evening of historic combat sports. Imagine the undercard possibilities. We could see title fights, grudge matches, and debut performances all taking place at the most prestigious address in America. The production value alone would be unprecedented, with lighting, camera work, and presentation that makes every previous UFC event look like a local gym show. This is why McGregor's training has evolved beyond anything we've seen from him before. He's not just preparing to win a fight. He's preparing to deliver a performance worthy of the venue and the moment. His striking coaches are reporting that his precision has reached levels they've never witnessed. His conditioning team says his cardiovascular fitness is surpassing his featherweight championship days. Even his mental preparation involves visualization techniques specifically designed for performing under the unique pressure of a White House setting. But here's what's really fascinating about all this preparation. McGregor's team has been studying the psychological profiles of all 4 potential opponents, creating detailed game plans for each possible matchup. Against Masvidal, they're focusing on neutralizing his boxing combinations and exploiting openings in his defensive positioning. For Geith, the strategy revolves around avoiding his devastating leg kicks while capitalizing on his tendency to leave himself open during wild exchanges. The Chandler preparation emphasizes takedown defense and maintaining distance to prevent the explosive wrestler from closing the gap. And for Tsarukyan, they're developing counters to his diverse skill set and unpredictable fighting style. What makes this even more incredible is that McGregor isn't just preparing for one specific opponent. He's simultaneously developing the skills and strategies needed to defeat any of these 4 elite fighters. His sparring sessions reportedly rotate between different styles, mimicking the approaches each potential opponent would bring. One day he's working against boxing-heavy partners who replicate Masvidal's style. The next day he's defending takedowns from wrestlers who fight like Chandler. Then he's dealing with leg kick specialists who mirror Geith's approach, followed by sessions against well-rounded fighters who can replicate Tsarukyan's versatility. This level of preparation is unprecedented in modern MMA, and it's producing a version of McGregor that might be the most complete fighter of his entire career. His coaches are describing improvements in areas where he was already elite, and dramatic developments in aspects of his game that were previously considered weaknesses. His ground game, long considered his most vulnerable area, has apparently undergone a complete transformation. Wrestling coaches who have worked with Olympic-level athletes are saying his takedown defense and submission awareness have improved exponentially. But here's where things get absolutely wild, and this information is coming from sources so close to the situation that they're risking their access by sharing these details. The opponent selection might not be up to the UFC at all. There are whispers that the White House itself, given the historic nature of this event, wants input on who McGregor faces. Think about the implications of that. The venue isn't just hosting the fight. They're potentially influencing the matchmaking, based on what would create the most compelling narrative for this unprecedented moment in sports history. This political dimension adds layers of complexity that go far beyond typical fight promotion. Each potential opponent represents different storylines and international appeal factors that could influence the selection process. Masvidal brings the mainstream crossover appeal and the grudge match narrative. Geith offers the guaranteed violence and the lightweight title implications. Chandler provides the redemption story and the explosive finishing ability. Tsarukyan represents the young, hungry contender looking to dethrone the king. From a diplomatic and entertainment perspective, each choice sends different messages about what this event represents. And speaking of messages, McGregor's own statements about this fight have been carefully crafted to work regardless of who the opponent ends up being. When he talks about bringing the true version of himself back to the octagon, he's setting expectations that transcend any specific matchup. When he claims to have built the strongest foundations of his career, he's preparing fans for a performance that will validate itself against any elite opponent. This isn't just confidence. This is strategic communication designed to maintain maximum impact, no matter how the opponent's situation resolves. But there's something even more significant happening here that goes beyond the individual fight or even the historic venue. This White House event represents a potential turning point for combat sports' relationship with mainstream American culture and politics. For decades, MMA has fought for legitimacy and acceptance at the highest levels of society. Having a major UFC event at the White House doesn't just legitimize the sport. It elevates it to a cultural institution on par with other major American sporting traditions. McGregor understands this historical significance better than anyone, which explains why his preparation has taken on almost mythical proportions. He's not just training to win a fight. He's training to deliver a moment that could define how combat sports are perceived by future generations. The pressure of that responsibility would crush most athletes. For McGregor, it's apparently serving as the ultimate motivation to reach levels of performance that even his legendary career hasn't previously achieved. The ripple effects of this event will extend far beyond whatever happens inside the octagon. We're looking at potential changes in how major sporting events are conceived, how venues are selected, and how the intersection of sports, politics, and entertainment can create cultural moments that transcend their individual components. Win or lose, McGregor is positioning himself at the center of a historic shift in how combat sports integrate with American cultural institutions. And here's the final piece of this puzzle that ties everything together. The reason for all the secrecy, all the conflicting reports, and all the strategic misdirection isn't just about building hype for this specific fight. It's about establishing a new paradigm for how major sporting events can be promoted and presented. By keeping the opponent selection mysterious while confirming the historic venue, they're creating a promotional template that prioritizes the significance of the moment over the specifics of the competition. This approach acknowledges that McGregor has reached a level of stardom where the event itself becomes bigger than any individual matchup. Whether he faces Masvidal, Gietz, Chandler, or Tsarakian, the historic nature of a White House fight ensures maximum cultural impact. The opponent mystery just adds an extra layer of intrigue to what's already guaranteed to be the most watched and most culturally significant fight in MMA history.